What is up? What is up, man? What is going on? Another day. We back in black in the building. Man. You already know I'm gonna hit y'all niggas with it. Did he come back? Did Jesus come back? God damn. He didn't come back. And y'all niggas been praying and hollering and speaking in tongues and singing in the choir and Jesus said it and all this bullshit. Hey, look. We right back where we was with gas $4 a gallon, $5 a gallon in California, in another war that ain't got shit to do with black folk. But y'all motherfuckers want to talk about vote for Joe Biden. Man, shout out to everybody at the Court Plantation. Shout out to all you motherfuckers that's singing in the choir right now. I sing in the choir too. My clown ass used to be singing in the choir, doing that sucker shit, because somebody told you that's what you're supposed to be doing, so. Shout out to everybody that's teaching Sunday school. I remember a bitch was teaching Sunday school and thought she was holding it down, just teaching Sunday school, you know, like she just was saved, sanctified. The whole time this bitch is fucking my brother. And they wasn't married, but you on here, you want to teach Sunday school. Bitch, only thing you can teach is dick and pussy, bitch. Fuck out of here. But anyway, shout out to everybody out there at the Court Plantation. You know, if you're there and you're not telling on nobody, I got nothing but love for you. If you're out there just telling on motherfuckers, I can't stand to just come to work to be telling. There's a lot of motherfuckers like that. There's a lot of dominant society motherfuckers like that too, that take joy in coming to work, want to know what fuck everybody else doing. We gonna talk about a lot of shit today. We gonna talk about the war. We gonna talk about Ukraine, Russia. We gonna talk about why it's important not to just be voting for people you like. We're going to talk about voting your interests. We're going to talk about how to conduct yourself at the Court Plantation. Don't be smiling. We're going to kind of get on the black Christians for a minute today because, you know, they tell you to read your Bible and pray every day, but they not telling you shit about racism, white supremacy, and how wicked these people are. And I might just upload it anyway. I might get a strike. Who knows, man? I was listening to this Farrakhan speech, man, and I think people need to. The Swan song was very, very good, and we're gonna get into that a little bit. But I think I'm just gonna upload this speech that I listened to. This is about 12 years ago with Farrakhan. He just was calling their asses out. So I'm gonna try to play. I'm gonna try to just upload it. Fuck it. I was thinking like, nah, I don't do it, but I'm like, fuck it, man. Hopefully I don't get no strike. But anyway, man, we gonna get into it, man. So that's what it is today, man. Let's get into it. Man. All these distractions, all this shit going on. I think it's very interesting. My fucking mouse act like it don't want to work. There you go. It's very interesting about how everything is going on right now as far as just the war. It's so funny, man. Inflation is at an all-time high. We're entering into the war that ain't got shit to do with us. But motherfuckers want to tell black folk to go vote for Joe Biden. Joe Biden ain't done shit but benign neglect black folk and do what the fuck he wanted to do in the first place. Now we're in another war. I ain't been on this earth as long as other people, but it's like, damn, you had the Desert Storm War. Ain't got shit to do with us. It's all these wars where it ain't got shit to do with black folk. It ain't got shit to do with the United States of America Incorporated. It's all about power and ruling other people's shit and telling other motherfuckers what to do. And then we voting. Y'all niggas don't even want to. Look, first of all, don't talk to me nothing about no motherfucking poverty or feeding the homeless and all this other shit. When you got Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Bill, the motherfucking devil Gates. You got all these people with all this wealth. They don't want to feed the homeless. So why the fuck is it our responsibility to feed the homeless? That's what I'm looking at. Why is it my responsibility to feed the homeless? Niggas got more money than everybody else. But motherfuckers want to make the average motherfucker that barely can make it feel bad because you don't want to feed the homeless. That's the shit that tripped me out. Nigga, you got all these NBA owners and NFL owners. They can feed the homeless. They can put them up in room and board. They just don't want to fix the problem because they don't give a fuck. See, this is shit that irritate me too. Then you motherfuckers want to talk about the law and all this. Okay, well, let's look at the law. Look at the dude, Brian Beck. There's an officer that was raping a 14-year-old bitch the whole time. Motherfuckers want to talk shit about R. Kelly, but this police officer was raping a 14-year-old girl, and then he pleaded to a lesser charge. Nobody talks about that shit. That's why I got his face plastered on my thumbnail. You know what I'm saying? So you can see that shit when you pull up my fucking podcast, because it's like, well, why the fuck we not talking about that shit? I see so much sucker shit, and I just be like, man, you know. And at first I was watching. I like I said, man, motherfuckers know if you listen to my older podcasts, I've been watching Farrakhan probably since 08, 09. Just been watching it because I was angry and I didn't know why. And not just angry about the race shit, just angry about why the fuck are we, you know, why. I look at it like this. And shout out to everybody out there, man. Shout out to No Compromise, David. That's my brother right there. We did a nice little Twitter Spaces. Hopefully we can get on this week coming up. Shout out to Shawnee. Shout out to Eric, Tasha, all y'all. I didn't forget about y'all. 066. You know what I'm saying? All y'all. I fuck with all y'all. But I just was thinking about this shit too. I'm like, why the fuck is we sitting up here vote shaming each other when, of course, look at where we back at it. I remember in 2003 when they was like, oh, you know, Osama bin Laden and them, they crashed planes to the building. We got to go to Iraq. I'm like, well, I thought he was Afghani. Oh, but we got to go to Iraq. People was like justifying that sucker shit. Then when Colin Powell came out there and was like, oh, it ain't no weapons of mass destruction. Well, then what the fuck is we doing over there the whole time? Because people are dumb and people are emotional. And I get it. Black folk, we very emotional, man, because that's, you know, we have the law of rhythm. So our emotions run high or whatever when it comes to things that are being done to us, you know, that are unjust. But we have to have, you know, better judgment when dealing with the dominant society as they dominate 9 areas of people activity. And one of the things they dominate is war, labor, law, religion, sex, education, entertainment, economics. Come on, man, they dominate all those things. So if we know that they dominated, we need to understand this shit is not real like the Matrix. How the fuck you gonna sign an Asian hate crime bill but acting like black folk don't exist? How is it we need a study for reparations and the people that they talking to are non-foundational black Americans? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand a lot of this shit. And then why do we keep going to other racial groups to validate reparations for us? Fuck them. I don't give a fuck if they think we should have it or not. That ain't none of my concern. I don't give a fuck about that shit. They gave the Jews their reparations. Chinamen, they reparations. I say it over and over again. I just be looking like, for real? I be tripping off that shit. And another thing I be tripping off too is why the fuck we so quick to go off to Bill Cosby and R. Kelly and all these other motherfuckers, but then when it comes, you look at regular plain police officers just out here just taking pussy. And I'm talking about young pussy too. And ain't don't nobody say nothing. He plead to a lesser charge. White folk act like this shit ain't going on. What about that junior senator in Arizona, the Mexican motherfucker who was molesting a boy, and then the boy, he basically entrapped him and caught him on tape, on a phone conversation. They recorded that shit, and the FBI kind of got involved, and then he was able to plead And then his lawyer was basically, everybody had their mask off but the Mexican motherfucker. They allowed the Mexican motherfucker to have his mask on. So the Latino dude had his mask on doing the whole, because they had it, the hearing was like a telemonitor hearing. So during the hearing, I'm like, why does he have his mask on and everybody else does not have a mask on? You know why? Because he didn't want to show his face. The judge didn't say nothing. The prosecutor didn't say nothing. Nobody said anything. They just allowed him to have his mask on, but everybody is at home. So what do you need your mask on for if everybody's at home? You don't need your mask on. So take your mask off. Somebody should have been like, hey man, we're gonna need you to take your mask off because you're at home so we can see who you are. And you ain't heard nothing about that junior senator since. And then he was like, we need I need to basically, could you take in consideration that I don't have enough income to retain my lawyer, so could you lower the fucking bond fee, you know, so I can bail myself out so I can retain a lawyer? I'm listening to this shit like, nigga, what? Man, get the fuck out of here. And you ain't heard nothing about that shit since. Some of the shit, I just be like, man, what the fuck is going on? And motherfuckers be sitting up here acting like, oh, well, you know, you just got, hey, there's one faction of it. Yeah, we need to learn. I was on this Twitter space with these young brothers, and they was spitting facts about learning the law and Social Security trust and how they got accounts and people's names, and, you know, just how you can't really call yourself black because black is not real in the court of law. If you have the Black's Law Dictionary, all that shit is facts. But what I feel like we need to do is start from scratch. And I ain't trying to rhyme or nothing. I'm just saying we need to start from scratch. Basically, we need to start trying to ingest the basics of what we need to know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always suggest read Black Labor, White Wealth. I will shout out to my brother Afro Elite, man. I did his podcast, and they was breaking down facts and shit. And I remembered one of the things I just kept telling them was, nobody never told me about this shit. I always, any Twitter space I'm into or anybody I talk to, I don't be lying acting like, oh yeah, because it sounds convincing like you been doing this shit. No, nigga, I have not been doing this. That's the first thing I tell motherfuckers. That I'm upset and I'm irritated because I didn't know any of this shit. Because, you know, it would be better if I knew it and I didn't listen, and then I could say, yeah, people was telling me that I just didn't listen. But for me to be bereft of that shit and nobody never really tell me, I feel like that's unfair, but life is not fair. But it's more unfair to black kids because we need the information more than everybody else. Everybody else don't really need the information like we do. You know what I'm saying? I was reading this Twitter thing that Tariq Nasheed had where this white dude, I'm gonna see if I can try to find it. This white dude, this black dude asked him, what do you think black people need to do, you know, to stop the police from killing? He said, y'all want to stop the police from killing y'all? Everybody should get life insurance policies for $400,000 or $500,000. He's like, if y'all all did that, that would dramatically stop the unjust killings because those insurance companies have the best lawyers and they will not allow police to be out here just bounty hunter killing black folk and having to pay out those policies. I've been saying that shit. It's so funny too because in that book, I think it was either Slavery by Another Name. I would have to have my brother No Compromise correct me on this. Or Erica, you would have to correct me on this if you listen to this later on. Either it was Slavery by Another Name or, man, I'm blanking on what book it was. It had to be Slavery by Another Name. Those slave owners, when the Civil War started, before it started, they started getting life insurance policies for the slaves through the Southern Mutual Life Insurance Company. That was like the biggest company in the antebellum period that would insure slaves. So like if they get killed, the slave owners would recoup their money. So a lot of the slave masters were going and taking out policies on slaves because slaves wanted to be in the war because we wanted to be a part of the country. That's how cold they are. They got us thinking like, oh, we can't be a part of the country unless we die for the country. But you don't see these motherfuckers dying, but they want us to be dying for the country. On some, I die for this shit. Man, nigga, get your ass the fuck up out of here, man. That's why I was just like, man, this shit is crazy. You know what I'm saying? You look at this shit, I'm like, damn. Like, that's another thing, too. Me and my cousin Mariah, we was kind of talking about this, too. Shout out to my cousin. We were talking about this shit, too, a couple months ago. I was like, and my cousin, she got like 4 degrees. This is what trips me out about the United States of America Incorporated. So don't come talking to me about no motherfucking. I remember a motherfucking bitch was like, oh man, you just gotta get your education. I was looking at this black bitch like, bitch, you got an education, you right here with me. Motherfucker can have 4 degrees and these motherfuckers will still be like, oh, well, we're gonna need you to do this. They'll change the goalpost. Maybe one day I can get my cousin on here, cause I'm so tired of talking about it. She might not want to do it. I gotta holler at my cousin. My cousin Mariah tell you, one day I'm gonna try to get her on here so she can tell y'all what the fuck it is. But we don't want to do it, man, because you know what I'm saying, we don't want to fuck up nobody's money. But she'll tell you. We talked about that shit. Motherfucker be like, oh, you need this degree and this degree. Okay, well, I got that. Ooh, you do? Because they don't be expecting you to have the degree. Then they be like, oh, well, you need to be certified here. Okay, then 2 weeks later, okay, I went and got the certification. Yeah, but the certification needs to be done through this. Okay, well, let me go. It's just all this red tape. Then once you complete everything and do everything that these motherfuckers tell you, then they be like, okay, now I'm gonna lowball you on the salary that I'm gonna pay you. So I'm gonna pay you, I'm gonna devalue who you are, even though you went and got everything that was asked of you. But since you a nigga, I'm paying everybody up here, but I'm gonna pay you down here and make you work your way up to where they at. That's what they do. And then I'm gonna hire in a white motherfucker that was off of Las Vegas Boulevard and Owens doing black tar heroin, and I'm gonna clean them up, give them a bath, shower, shave them, and then they gonna be your supervisor. And that's how the fuck the world works. And I don't understand that. We get our ass kicked in that world every day. That's why I just be like, if you're not trying to replace the system, then just get the fuck away from me. If you're not looking out for our people, and our people, we need to stop like making a spectacle when we get to these jobs too. And stop arguing with these people and trying to convince these people about racism. And stop thinking because you see a black person that's in charge that they gonna be for you. No, that black person gonna be for them. You just maintain your lane. You know what I'm saying? We get so emotional when we get on these corporate plantation jobs and we see a person that look like us. We be like, okay, cool, that's a sister or that's a brother. And that brother ain't really your brother. All skin folk ain't kin folk. And then don't get to arguing with motherfuckers about no goddamn political bullshit. Man, look, I go to the gym, right? You know, so I'm trying to get in a little bit of shape and, you know, go to the gym and do this shit. And it's so funny because when I worked at Veterans Memorial Leisure Center with some of my other partners, even my Italian OG, like it was always a bunch of arrogant ass white people up there who want to make themselves sound like they somebody. You know what I'm saying? And man, when I be at this gym, it'd be funny, man. This one white motherfucker that looked like he's on steroids and shit up there talking about, oh, you know, just out of the blue, he just jumped in the conversation. Oh, yeah, you know, because I manage my clients and you know, it's just, you know, the world's just a bunch of bullshit. And, you know, I beat an autoimmune disease because, you know, it's so much bullshit in those supplements and all this other shit. And I'm looking at him and I'm looking at how he looked. And he looked like a white Ronnie Coleman. And I was like, looking at all the veins and shit, I'm like, oh, nigga, you was a juice head. That's why you all fucked up. You know, because I naturally, you know, I'm an author and all this other shit, right? So look, y'all niggas gonna start laughing. Look, this is what I hit the nigga with. So what? Look, I had my phone out, right? Because, you know, I got my phone, I go straight to Amazon in my cart. And I'm like, oh, so you an author? He was like, yeah. I was like, so what's the name of your book? This motherfucker gave me a website to buy some supplements. Man, sit your dumb ass down. That's the problem. What black folk need to start doing is go amongst white folk and don't say shit and just listen to them. They're the most arrogant. They think they know everything. And I be looking at these motherfuckers. And let me tell you something. The majority of these dominant society motherfuckers who think they know and think they got a little bit of money, Donald Trump wouldn't squirt a piss on your ass if you was on fire. He don't even fuck with niggas like you. Motherfuckers, white folk with real money don't even fuck with people like that. They think those people are morons. Because I've been around white people with real money. For real. And they don't even conduct, first of all, they don't even want you to know they got money the majority of the time. They look at you upside your head because they don't want you to know, because they don't want you asking for shit. Second of all, they think motherfuckers that be like faking and pretending, as my mom would call it, perpetrating. they be laughing at their asses for real. So that's why I'm like, man, I'm just listening. I was like, man, what's the name of your book? That nigga was like, oh, let me give you this website. Go to the website. I don't see no books on there because niggas think that niggas are the only people that be out here perpetrating. Man, the dominant society is full of perpetrating. Then they's talking about voting and all this other stuff. Then you talk to this motherfucker and he's a teacher and he like to work in the inner city and all this other shit. And I'm just listening, because I like to listen and observe their mentality. And a lot of the times when you are around the dominant society, they tend to want to be politically correct around you when it comes to race. They want to say African American. They want to say, I'm from the South. And those are talking points. So they're basically telling you, I grew up racist, but, I'm a Southern racist. So, I'm a lot different from these races. That type of bullshit. You know what I mean? But in actuality, you just racist too. You're part of the system too. You know what I mean? And I was having a conversation, with this dude was a teacher, and he was just kind of telling me about the schools and the magnet programs and all this other stuff. But I was just thinking, like, the whole time I'm thinking, wow, this is what is teaching our kids. I'm not saying that the dude was a dumb white motherfucker. I'm just saying, like, we need to start taking that back and start educating black folk, because as Nas's dad did. Nas's dad told his mama, take them kids out of that school. Them motherfuckers ain't teaching them shit. And this nigga became to be the greatest lyricist damn near of all time besides Rakim Allah. So it's like, you can't front on that. And I think a lot of the times we so distracted by everything else. That's why I just be like, look at gas, man. That shit fucked me up. I was like, I seen this, somebody tweeted this thing on Twitter, and gas in California was like $5.19 a gallon. I'm like, so if gas is $5 a gallon, rent is at an all-time high because of the Rams Stadium. What do y'all think they gonna do out here in Las Vegas, Nevada? So why motherfuckers don't want to work together, you better start wanting to work together. It starts with the family first. You're not gonna be able to work well with people if you don't know how to work well with your own family. But then your family gotta stop being disaggregate, not being on the same page, know how to come together for the greater good. And motherfuckers just gotta be on the same page. And everybody gotta get out there and handle business too. A lot of us want to party and bullshit and then be mad at the motherfucker that's grinding. It's a lot of motherfuckers like that's out there like that. No diss, but I'm talking to specifically my people. Stop having that dusty, and not just dusty, that I would say sowing discord mentality. What do you mean, Warren? You mad at the next motherfucker because he get up and go to work every day. You don't want to get up and do nothing. So you want to sit around and be everybody's manager and tell everybody else what they need to be doing. You know what I mean? And I always say this every week. If you talk to somebody and they can tell you about what everybody else got going on, but they can't tell you nothing about what they got going on, you need to get the fuck away from them and just let them figure it out. Because you're not going to be able to figure it out for them. They have to figure it out for themselves. Like I said, we back in a war. Inflation's at an all-time high. Houses are grip. Cars are a grip. Everything is a grip. You have to understand what the fuck is going on. And when you work hard and you grind and you doing it, see, I can only use myself as an example. You know what I mean? And I've watched other people too. When they in their own lane and they in their own purpose, you can't be mad at them. You just got to understand, like, damn, I got to find what the fuck I want to do. You know what I mean? And I got to stay in my lane and just be by yourself and learn and observe, because that's what I do. It ain't easy. It's very hard. Like, why you say it's hard, Warren? Because, nigga, I was not taught none of this shit. I say it all the time. That's why I was on the last podcast, my brother Afro Elite, and I was like, damn, nobody told me none of this shit. I just kind of learned it by default and listening to podcasts and starting to read. That was hard to reprogram myself to start reading. That shit is not easy. To pay attention to reading a book and comprehend and ascertain the knowledge. I'm kind of proud of myself because I done read so many books. Some books, I can't remember shit that I read in that book. I know I read it, but some books, I remember a lot. And then some books, it comes to me later on. You know what I mean? But I just think that we need to kind of start gaming people up and educating ourselves on a lot of this shit too. Because like I said, if that was a black cop taking pussy from a 14-year-old for years, that nigga would be under the jail. He wouldn't be able to plead shit. They'd be like, well, nigga, you ain't pleading because your plea is no good here. Guilty, nigga. Nigga, life. That type of shit. But since white person, all right, go ahead, man. You go ahead and plead. That bitch wanted it anyway. That bitch was trying to fuck anyway. That's how they look at it for a white person. She was trying to fuck up. You know what I'm saying? That type of shit. But when it's niggas, you know, just like the Bill Cosby, keep bringing that up. How the fuck can you rape somebody and they keep coming back? You're not holding them captive, but they keep coming back. I said, this is some crazy bullshit. Bitches committing perjury on the stand. I'm like, man, this is some bogus bullshit. I was watching this thing, that dude, the Winter Soldier from Marvel, he had this movie, Sebastian Stan. He had this movie called Fresh. This motherfucker was dating bitches and then drugging them and cutting their asses up and selling the pieces to other people that were cannibals, that were eating the flesh of other people's skin. And of course, they had that black sister on there, and she had her suspicions the whole fucking time. Like, this motherfucker's crazy. Yep. And he was tying bitches up. His own wife, he had cut that bitch's leg up and carved her up real quick. He was eating the shit. Very, very good movie. Very sadistic. And he's like, well, why do you watch this? Y'all need, every time they put a movie in front of y'all where it's a white motherfucker being on some crazy shit, you better pay attention. You better watch that shit. Because let me tell you something. They're telling you what it is. See, we always often get mad when they put black folk on there as the crazy motherfuckers. But now they started to kind of reveal who the fuck they are. That cannibalism shit, that ain't just start with Jeffrey Dahmer. It's a book, The Delectable Negro. That book is in my cart. Then you got cannibalism and something with Christopher Columbus, because they had to eat people when they got to the United States of America because they couldn't cultivate the land. So, you know, this is, you know, then you got medical apartheid. You got a lot of these books where they was doing crazy shit. So but that's history. That's why right now I'm reading this book called Kidnapped. And this dude, John Purnell, it's just sad how the dominant society, it's their system. They control it. And they know if they throw a little bit of bread at niggas will do the most gulliest shit. Just like in the book, I don't know if I got it up here, A Price for a Pound of Flesh. In that book, it was a brother, I forgot his name, but it was a brother who was body snatching. He was digging up graves because white people wanted to dissect and experiment on black bodies because we had melanin. So a lot of white doctors, they wanted to do a lot of research, and they could only use black bodies because their bodies were fucked up and their bones weren't that great. You know, white people was having their bones fused together and shined and whatever because white people's bones were brittle and fucked up. You know what I mean? Versus black folk, we just naturally raw bones, everything. Our melanin, our skin was well preserved even after we were buried, shit like that. So they would basically rob graves and snatch black bodies. But a lot of these white doctors did not want to be, they didn't want to be known as a person snatching bodies because it would bring shame upon their practice, their medical practice. You know, they would get fined. So they had to be inventive. Like they had to invent new ways of getting the black bodies. So they started playing black people to go body snatch. So when you would bury like your grandmother or whatever in the antebellum period, what they would do is pay a nigga to dig up your body, snatch it, bring it to the lab, and then they would dissect it. That's what they was doing. They got pictures in that book. Go read the book, A Price for a Pound of Flesh, where they got a nigga, and then there's a whole bunch of white, it's a nigga on the side and a whole bunch of white people, and it's a dead nigga on the table, a dead slave on the table with his body all exposed, and they taking pictures around that shit. And I don't even think that brother knew he was Sambone and Conan because he was trying to provide for his family, just like John Purnell. He probably felt like, well, fuck these niggas. It's either these niggas or my family. So he kidnapping kids and selling them into slavery. But I know there's one part in this book that I read so far where they went and they damn near tried to burn one of them slave catchers' houses on fire because them black people got together and was like, hey man, you wrong, you going against the code. And it's sad, man, because they know that's what they can do. What you think they doing now? Look at Larry Elder and Jesse Lee Peterson, and look at all these black coons and Sambos. They know they can get him a little bit of bread and they'll come out and speak against the black agenda. They know that and have us feeling bad that we want to vote. You know what I'm saying? That's why, I was even looking at some of the comments on Twitter, like people like still trying to criticize us because we're trying to separate ourselves from everybody else. And it's like, well, why shouldn't we have to separate ourselves? We should. Because if we don't, they're going to muddy the waters, and then they're going to be talking about, oh, well, we got to give reparations to all black people. No, fuck that. No, nigga. The people that was fucking here. The people who come from slave plantations. Fuck that. Because motherfuckers want to come over here and live good and then talk shit about black people. And that's the problem with other racial groups. And I'm not just talking about Africans. I'm talking about all these other racial groups. They come over here and then they talk shit about black people. And it's like, well, we built the country. That's why I don't get on my people when they come to the corn plantation and they don't want to work as hard. If anything, I try to get them to pace themselves so they don't drive themselves crazy, because the dominant society has done a great job at making us feel like if we don't work harder than that average white person, then we ain't shit. Man, the average white person is not working that hard. The average white person at the corn plantation is ass kissing. That's what they're doing. They're ass kissing their way to where they want to go and telling all they fucking business and being an open book so they can be in positions where people feel sorry for them, and then they ain't got to work as hard as the average nigga. That's all they doing. They not working hard. Y'all motherfuckers is crazy if y'all think they working hard. No, they're ass kissing. And they're playing a political game. And that's all they're doing. And then when you don't want to play that game, you become a threat. That's why, look at the war, look at the gas prices, look at how everything is going on. Eventually, we're going to have to work together whether we like it or not. It's just hard to work with certain people because all they want to do is sit on their ass with their thumb up their ass and smelling it and shit, and then want to come around you talking about, oh man, what you got going on tonight? And then when you don't want to hang out because you didn't work 12 hours a day, motherfuckers look at you like you crazy. It's like, nigga, how's that work? This ain't for play. You know what I'm saying? So we have to wake up and start having intrinsic value in who the fuck we are and stop putting our emotions on voting for Joe Biden. Stop creating these fictitious saviors. You better tap into the ancestors, Harriet Tubman, Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey. You better start tapping into them. Stop tapping into these supposedly Cesare Borgias and shit. Them motherfuckers ain't your saviors. The fuck? Them people are not gonna help you. You better start tapping into the people who helped and laid the foundation and built this country, and learn about the wickedly brilliant white supremacists that are amongst you and what they've done for generations and generations, like the Thomas Jeffersons and the George Washington. Man, fuck George Washington. I'd never tell a lie. Man, please, your whole life was a lie. Nigga, you and Martha Washington. And it was so funny because I was on one of the podcasts, I think with Afro Elite. It wasn't a podcast, it was a Spaces, and one of the brothers, Tate from Twitter, my brother Tate from Twitter, shout out to him. He broke it down because I was talking about how Martha Washington had 17,500 acres of land, and they was all up and down Virginia. Like she had so many acres of land in Virginia. Virginia is right next to Delaware, right next to DC, and he said the owner of the Baltimore Ravens bought 16 acres of land from Martha Washington's estate. And the 16 acres of land was $60 million. And this bitch has 17,500 acres of land, and we sitting up here worried about what the next nigga got on when the dominant society got all these acres of land, all this shit hidden, because they don't want you to know that shit. As Dr. Claude Anderson says, they got the money tied up in money market accounts and mutual funds and life insurance policies, but they paid $60 million for 16 acres of land. So imagine, and I know she probably still got, if she had 17,000, she probably still got about 17,000. She had 17,500 acres and she sold 16.5 acres. Martha Washington's probably sitting on, her descendants are probably sitting on 16,000 acres of land. And niggas don't even know that shit. Off the backs of black labor. Man, get the fuck out of here. So I don't want to hear none of that shit. You want to find out? I'll go read the book, Una Judge, Never Caught, The Untold Story of Una Judge. Go read this book right here, man. This is the book right here that talks about George Washington and Martha Washington and the sucker shit that they was doing the whole fucking time. I talk about it all the time, how they was taking, because the slave law started changing. So in Pennsylvania, if you was there for 6 months as a resident, you're free. You can declare your freedom. You just got to petition and put in the paperwork, and then you can be free. So what George Washington was doing, since they knew the laws, they kept moving Una Judge and all the slaves back to Virginia. So they would go to Pennsylvania for a minute, And then before the 6 months was over, they'd go back to Virginia because they knew she could declare freedom. And they knew all the other slaves would too. So what they did, they just kept moving the slaves around. That's the type of sucker shit that they was doing. So don't try to tell me nothing about no, well, that was so long ago. Man, fuck it. And I don't care. Look, let me tell you something. The Jewish Holocaust was so long ago too. And that was in Europe. And they don't never let you forget every fucking year. Every time you even open up your mouth to say one thing that they can deem it anti-Semitic, these motherfuckers start bringing up the Holocaust and shit. That didn't even happen here. And that's what I would say to any white Jewish person. No diss, but I'd be like, but what does that have to do with the United States of America Incorporated? Because that doesn't have to, I'm talking about what happened here. I can't talk about that. That's like me talking to a nigga out here in Vegas, like, yeah, man, my nigga, you know what happened to me in California, man, so fuck Vegas. They gonna be like, how you gonna tell me fuck Vegas, but that shit happened in fucking California? I don't wanna hear that shit. And there's no diss to the white Jewish community, but they don't never let you forget. They always wanna take you to the Museum of Tolerance, all this bullshit. But then when you bring up slavery, that happened so long ago. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. Look, man, I done went over my time. You already know what the fuck it is. Hey, man, study, read. I'm following you up for a lot. Hey, what's going on, Tasha, man? I'm about to get the fuck up out of here. Man, go check out, if you can, go check out Afro Elite's podcast. He's dope. He got some dope content on there. Don't forget about my boy, No Compromise. If you can, read that book, Never Caught, The Untold Story of Una Judge. And there's another book too, Sweet Taste of Liberty. That's about, I forgot this sister's, Henrietta Woods. She got kidnapped, soldier slavery, escaped, kidnapped, soldier slavery, escaped. And then she was able to sue and she got restitution. She got like $2,500. She sued for $20,000 then, but she only got $2,500 and she won. And, you know, very, very good book. You know what I mean? And just read these books. I tend to try to not read a lot of them slave books because you know, you get angry, you get upset, but I've learned to just kind of abstract the knowledge and take the knowledge out and just use it for good. Very good book. I'm reading another book, like I said, about kidnapping these kids that are getting kidnapped. And then I'm going to start delving kind of into like Federal Reserve and stuff like that. But hey, man, you already know what it is, man. Read, study. I'm not telling you black Christians not to go to church, but I'm going to tell you this. If you will believe a Bible that was written thousands of years ago, then you need to start reading these regular books. You know, you can read the Bible and you can game yourself up with a little bit of history and knowledge of who you are. Because if you don't know who you are, then you're fucked in this world. And as Nearly Fuller Jr. says, if you don't understand racism and white supremacy, everything else will confuse you. And that's a fact. But we got to understand what that shit is. Because we think racism is just calling somebody a nigga. No, racism is an institution. It's a team sport. Hey, man, that's my time. And if a motherfucker up here talking about, you know, well, you know, maybe racism is changing, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, there's some, you know, we all starting to get on the same page, and I don't really see racism like that. You a Sambo. Stop. And you're telling about the gun line. It is Sunday. You're telling about the gun line. Hayward Shepherd, Steve from Django. I don't fuck with you. And niggas need to grow up and stop sitting around here making excuses for racism and white supremacy, because I'm not. Guilty, nigga. I'm out. Peace.